Hey, Katie.
Hey Rhiannon, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I know that it was recently Record Store Day, so I wanted to get right into it because I have a feeling that there's going to be kind of an extended period of new vinyl at the end. So why don't we just go straight into corrections slash updates from the last time?
I love it. I love it.
Okay. I don't think that we said anything incorrect. Well, I made a guess at something that turns out is wrong. The Noxzema girl, her name
Mm,
is Rebecca Gayhart.
okay.
She's still kind of active. She's on Instagram and stuff. Google did not show me anything that said she had ever been in a relationship with Mario Lopez, but since they're both current stars, like the first 6 pages of each of them is all like what they're doing right now. So
I
like
gotcha.
it's possible that on like page 75 there's something from 1996 about them being together, but I wasn't gonna investigate. So to the best of my knowledge, they were not a couple. She is married currently to this guy named Eric Dane, who apparently is famous because he was on Grey's Anatomy. I've never heard of him before, but first 3 pages of Google results seem to think it was a big deal. Um, Bittersweet Symphony, the royalty dispute, which you were
Mm,
correct about, the royalty dispute was between them and the Rolling Stones. It started in 1997, where they had licensed like 5 seconds of the song
mm.
or like 5 notes or five something. Let me read. Let me open the. They licensed 5 notes, but they played more than 5 notes, and so the Rolling Stones manager, their like rep, said, "That is not what you licensed. I will block this song." So instead of relicensing and renegotiating or whatever, he just like said, "No, this is now this is ours." But
Oh,
in 2019, um, Mick Jagger and I guess the rest of them, they didn't really say in the Google results, but Mick Jagger and the rest of the Rolling Stones had had control of their own music rights again, and they gave the royalties, the future royalties, back to them.
oh,
So it was never the Rolling Stones actually making this happen on their own, but they didn't actually have control of their own rights. Like they had
mm,
licensed control of their rights to this other record holdings company.
yeah,
And like that's what happens. Like money people want to make money. So
yeah.
you were correct. We were correct about the Noxzema girl having the curly hair, which was the thing that we were updating on. I was I was off base on her possibly being in a relationship with Mario Lopez. So pretty good. That was corrections and updates.
Hey,
Ta-da.
I like it.
Okay, well, with that, do you have songs this week?
I do. And instead of having you like guess the theme, I will tell you the
Okay,
theme ahead of
okay,
time. This actually, I did a podcast a couple podcasts ago, like here's songs that remind me of my mom and did some Prince stuff and all that. And so this podcast is songs that remind me of my dad or that my dad showed me or influence, I think it was more songs that my dad absolutely loved. And so now I absolutely love them. And so I'm going to bet that you know all of these songs. You may
okay.
not have heard the version that I'm going to share or whatever, but yeah, so I said maybe in the first podcast like my dad was a huge influence on me musically. He always loved to listen to music and he was kind of more of the classic rock guy where my mom was like the current pop lady, the 80s Gloria Stefan and Prince and whoever was popular at the time. So I got a lot of my rock likes from my dad. And so I'm going to play you the song. This is not the version that he would have shown me, but
Okay,
I had to play this version.
okay.
So here is the first song.
My child arrived just the other day. Came to the world in the usual way, but there were planes to catch and bills to pay. He learned to walk while I was away. He was talking before I knew it, and as he grew, he said, "I'm gonna be like you, Dad. You know I'm gonna be like you." And the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon. Little boy blue and the man on the moon. When you're coming home, son, I don't know when. We'll get together then. You know we'll have a good time then. Well, my son turned 10 just the other day. Said thanks for the ball, Dad, come on, let's play. Could you teach me to throw? I said, not today, I got a lot to do. He said, that's okay, and he walked away and smiled and he said, you know, I'm gonna be like him, yeah. You know I'm gonna be like him. And the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon.
I hate to cut it off in the middle, but you get the point.
Yeah. I don't think
Oh.
I've seen this version before.
Yeah.
Of course I know this song.
So this is why I chose it too, because we started out kind of talking about music from our childhood, and this is a 90s version. So this band is called Ugly Kid Joe. Do you remember them? They had one hit song that I remember other than this. It was called I Hate Everything About You. And
it feels familiar, but I'm like not conjuring the tune right now.
yeah, and it is so good. And it is basically just like, I hate everything about your mother. It is, and I hate everything about you. And they almost sound kind of Guns N' Roses-ish.
Mhm.
And so it's actually really funny when of course, I saw this song, then I went down a rabbit hole and played that song. And when I was looking it up, the Cats in the Cradle, because part of it's like, who all covered Cats in the Cradle, on YouTube somebody has like a Guns N' Roses like picture of a Guns N' Roses like album or whatever, and it's the Ugly Kid Joe version. And it's so funny because all the comments are like, hey man, this isn't Guns N' Roses, this is Ugly Kid Joe.
Yeah.
So anyway, Cats in the Cradle, my dad of course loved the Harry Chapin version. That was the original Cats in the Cradle. I have tons of notes on this, but my dad, a theme on some of his favorite songs were about being a father, about the relationship between father and child, a little bit about my dad. He had like a dad that he didn't live with. He was raised by his stepdad his entire life, and so he always kind of had I could tell through his music he had these issues that were unresolved. I didn't know till later in life, but I love this song for many reasons. First, my dad loved it, and anything he's super passionate about I always loved. But this is part of kind of it's not even a genre of song, it's a type of song to me where it's like a story song that progresses, and then it'll have this circular kind of twist at the end, or like it's a really good story, and so Cats in the Cradle kind of goes through the dad being too busy to raise his son, but his son still, I want to be like you. Then when he comes home from college and he's doing his own thing, his dad wants to hang out with him and he's like, nope, I'm out of here, I'm partying with my friends. And then when his dad's retired, he's got kids of his own, he's got bills to pay, and he's running the rat race. And he just like, sorry dad, I wish I could visit, but I can't. Kids got the flu, new job's a hassle, and just so life goes. And it's like really poetic. So all of those reasons, plus it's a great melody. So what else? There's all sorts of things. So Ugly Kid Joe in general, I knew nothing about them. This song came out in 1992, so I would have been 11. Let's see, they are a rock band. They are from Isla Vista, California.
Oh,
And
Isla Vista.
Oh my
Isla
God,
Vista.
look at me.
Yeah.
Isla Vista.
Isla Vista, California. Yeah.
Yes. Formed in 89, and their name is supposed to be a spoof of the glam metal band Pretty Boy Floyd. So they're Ugly Kid Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think, they disbanded in 97 actually. And the other cool stuff, why I love the Google machine. So the drummer from this band has been a member of the band Godsmack since 2002. So I like Godsmack a lot. So original song Harry Chapin came out in 74. And so other covers, as I was looking, so Cat Stevens did a cover, Johnny Cash, and then you would be happy with this. Mandy Patinkin did a cover.
Mm.
Yes, it's pretty good. And then my favorite that I want to point out, I had no idea happened, was in 2006. The D in Run DMC, Daryl McDaniels, he was inspired to write a song called Just Like Me that raps over it. And then Sarah McLachlan actually, or McLaughlin, I don't know how you say it, McLaughlin, she, sang the verse of the Cats in the Cradles to it.
Mhm.
And so, I guess there's all podcasts about it and stuff, but he was adopted. And so he just kind of raps, and it's more like kind of spreading awareness of like kids that were adopted. And then like he and Sarah bonded because then it came out that Sarah is adopted as well. So,
Yeah.
way too many facts than I ever thought I would find when I was just picking a song that my dad loved.
Yeah. No, like, so Isla Vista, California is where UC Santa Barbara is.
Oh, okay.
So I wonder if they broke up, if they disbanded and then joined other bands, because
They
I
did.
went to Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo, and there's a lot of cross pollination between UC Santa Barbara and Cal Poly. Like people's like boyfriend girlfriends, like, oh, my boyfriend is at UC Santa Barbara. Like it's close enough for California. Like one of the things about being from like a driving state, like we don't mind driving 100 miles. Now, some people are from non-driving parts of our state and they're like, I'm not going 10 minutes away. But like at that time, it was still like totally reasonable for you have your boyfriend on the weekends and they're at UC Santa Barbara. So I feel like now that I heard that thing, this little tidbit that the Ugly Kid Joe band was from Isla Vista, I'm going to look into it more, because now I want to know what bands they disbanded into to see if those are like cross-pollinated with San Luis Obispo bands, because I feel like they have to be, because like the Central Coast is so small, and like especially this kind of punk rock, grunge, emo, all this kind of music is all just like cross-pollinating and recirculating all the same people.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that would be like my least familiar geography of California. When you live in Ohio, San Diego and LA and San Fran. Sometimes Sacramento, but that's pretty much, you don't even know all the stuff in the middle.
This is definitely one, like Isla Vista and San Luis Obispo are these two little like freckles on the middle in the middle of the coastline. Like,
That's awesome.
you have to have determination to get to either one of those. Like you have to be purposely going there. You're not going to accidentally, oh, I was driving and oopsie doops, now I'm in San Luis Obispo.
You have to go there for a purpose, or else
you have to
you're
go
not
there
going
on purpose. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. All right. Well, any other thoughts on Cats in the Cradles? I'm glad you've heard it before. Cats in the Cradle.
No, I was just thinking, oh, I haven't heard this song in a while. And then like, oh, my son turned 10. And I'm like, oh yeah, you gotta make time for these people, because this is their formative years, and make memories with them, because the money doesn't replace the memories and all that jazz. So I'm like, reminds you. But that's why I go and let these 8th graders boss me around and tell me how to do things that I'm already perfectly capable of doing, is making memories with children, and especially mine.
Exactly. My next song is definitely a little bit of a turn as far as subject matter goes. So let me get this guy rolling.
Manic depression is searching my soul. I know what I want, but I just don't know how to go about getting it. Feeling, sweet feeling, drops from my fingers. Manic depression has captured my soul. So weary, the sweet cause in vain. You make love, you break love, it's all the same when it's over. rest, the rest, the rest. Manic depression is a frustrating mess. Wow!
Okay. I had to get some Jimmy riffs in there before I turned it
Yeah.
off. Heard that song before?
You know, in the ill-fated 5 CDs on vacation, Jimi Hendrix was in there, but I don't it's one of those things that there's just like a sound of Jimi Hendrix. Do I actually know the divisions between these sounds where one song ends and another song begins? So chances are I have heard this many, many times, but I don't, I didn't listen to Jimi Hendrix with the point of absorbing lyrics.
Yeah.
You're just letting music wash over your body.
Right. Right. There is, I hope everyone who listens to this podcast knows who Jimi Hendrix is, and he's quite the legend. And it's funny to me, of course, as I'm doing the research, I never did research on him as a kid. And then I have to remember too, we didn't have
We
easy
didn't have the
access to the interwebs, right? I didn't go back and research everything I loved when I was a kid. But you know, for Jimi Hendrix, like, I think I do this with a lot of artists that are just legend status. Like, there's something so crazy about how they play. They make you feel this emotion. It actually just tickles my brain, and I'm just like, what is this thing? But there's some like artists on that status where I just for some reason I'm just like accept it as is. I don't care about their life. I don't research them.
Mhm.
I don't know as many things about them as I know about these other like smaller bands, and I don't know what it is, but it seems to be like those just bands above bands, and I'm just like, oh, uh, they're just rock legends. I don't need to know.
Yeah.
They're mystical, and I'm going to keep them mystical. But the usual facts come up.
Yeah.
He died when he was 27. He choked on his own puke from partying too hard, and super into. But I was really fascinated. I didn't know much about his life and his beginnings of his career, where he grew up. I knew he'd been in the military. I didn't know much about him moving to England for a while, and his major concerts, of course, are Woodstock and then the Monterey Pop Festival. Those are like huge albums, like for people who are listening and have not listened to those albums, like the Monterey Pop Festival. So I read somewhere that like McCartney was said he wouldn't even be on the board of that festival unless they had Jimi Hendrix there. Like, he just was so amazing right
Mhm.
away that he just had everybody's attention, but also from the stories, he was a big dick to work with, right? Like,
Yeah.
he was just so good and a partier. No, I mean, he wasn't a partier, but he was a drinker
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
whatever. Anyway, I just remember listening to Jimmy as a kid. My dad would play him for me all the time, and just I wasn't even interested in like, how do you make a guitar sound like that? It was just like so enjoyable to listen to the sound and the lyrics, like, hey Joe, all along the watchtower, the wind cries Mary. I love his lyric, Purple Haze. There's so many famous songs of his, but I picked Manic Depression because my dad was manic depressive, and so he had a very strong attachment to this song just because it was called Manic Depression.
Mhm.
But the lyrics of the song, though, it's about that kind of out of control swing kind of thing, but the song and the lyrics are actually more about a relationship with a lady, or even a relationship with anything, just the ups and the downs and the pulls about it and how you feel.
Yeah.
um but yeah, so that's why I chose that song amongst what Jimi Hendrix, like, it had to be a Jimi Hendrix song. But he also loved Crosstown Traffic, which was a great song. It again, also because I'm like a literature nerd, the metaphor of crosstown traffic, but it's about a woman, and not being able to get through to her, crosstown traffic, I can't get through to you, and it's just
Yeah.
has all these driving traffic metaphors about a relationship. So I really enjoy his stuff.
So I don't know if Jimi Hendrix has anything to do with the city of Seattle. Don't know. But I went to Seattle on vacation with my mom, like, I don't know, 15 years ago, something like that. And there's like this big museum in downtown Seattle that's like 50% Muppet history and 50% Jimi Hendrix history.
Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing.
It was. I'm like, Mom, we're going there. And so like, it's like a lot of memorabilia, and here's the guitar he played at this thing, and here's some interviews of him at this, and da 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 da. But yeah, it's like really yeah, apparently he was very volatile, or maybe that's the diplomatic way of putting it, is that if you were on his good side, it was great, easy rolling, but if you crossed him, he was like very hard to work with after that point.
Yeah,
And obviously mental health care was not the best in his era. And so who knows
absolutely.
what he could have been with like better treatment options, and like being able to funnel his emotions
Yeah,
into ways, but yeah, the musical gift is really like, wow.
yeah.
But like, yeah, going through the museum, you're like, oh, this is how they make Muppets, and here's like they use this kind of carpet to make a Muppet, and then whoop, and now we're like, oh, left-handed guitars.
Yeah. Yeah, so he was born in 42 and he died in 1970. And he's also part, and I was going to say corrections and updates incoming probably next week, but he was part of that like mystical
Yeah,
die
the
when you're
27 club.
27 club.
Yeah, yeah.
If we try to mention other people, I know Heath Ledger, Janis Joplin, I think,
Janis
maybe
Joplin,
maybe
yeah.
Amy Winehouse. I'm not sure if she was 27 or not,
I think, I don't
but
know. I feel like they said it when it was happening, but
mhm,
yeah.
yeah, the 27 club. So,
Well, you just are living such a, like, you're in such a transition of your life. Like, you really aren't a kid anymore, and you have to start embracing what it means to be an adult, and like how traumatic that is.
right.
And if you don't have processing skills, if you don't have the tools in your toolbox to process that emotion, bad stuff happens.
Yeah.
And usually, like, when you see these people whose art is so like emotional and it's like so bare, like so raw, they're like, oh boy, like Amy Winehouse, we knew was on a downward slope. She was in trouble from day one, and she's like, I don't want to go to rehab. No, no, no.
Yeah.
So it wasn't going to be good. But yeah,
I
like
mean,
Heath Ledger, it was a big bummer.
she didn't hide how she felt, right? At
Yeah,
all.
no.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah,
But
one day we need to go to Seattle so we can do the 50% Muppets, 50% Jimi Hendrix.
that's amazing. That's on my list to Google immediately. I'm very
Yeah.
excited about that. And then, to that end, and completely gifted people. And I know we joke about this in other podcasts, but I always talk about how people's music start to suck when they get happy, and they start to normalize or whatever. But, there is something to be said about people that are on that level of like creative genius. There is this something inside of them, when you try to normalize them or they try to deal with whatever the institution of living, and especially being younger, when you're just, I mean, you start out lizard brained and full of hormones, and you have to learn to be civil and learn to to relate to other people, and sometimes you just can't. There's just,
Yeah.
your fire's burning too hot and too bright.
Yeah.
Too hot and
Yeah.
too bright for what's going on here. But anyway, there's definitely a correlation between musical genius and strong emotions, whatever
For
direction
sure.
they're going.
Yeah. You got
Oh
to
my
feel
gosh.
very intensely.
Yeah, I just remember being a younger kid, and of course you just think all of your works, and you're going to be the best at everything, and I'm so amazing. I used to love to write like poetry or whatever, or song lyrics, right? Either one. But it's just, oh, I'm really feeling these. And then you're not distraught anymore and you're happy and you're living your like happy, content life. And you're like, I have no inspiration. Like I don't know what I want to write. I have nothing to write. Like I'm not writing
Yeah.
about heartbreak. I'm not, you maybe need to refocus or whatever.
Yeah.
But I remember having those feelings like, oh,
Semi-related to this. As you know, we're both on TikTok. So
yes,
I get a lot of this like adult diagnosis, ADHD, autism, like TikTok. And there's this whole thing that when you start unmasking, which means like you stop regulating your behavior according to like what you think people expect from you, and you just actually find out where the boundaries are and you act within the actual boundaries. So like you act normal for yourself instead of what you think normal is. That people lose their mojo, because what happens is that you bottle up this energy and it has to get out of you somehow. And so like a lot of people have this like post-diagnostic like mojo loss. Like they used to be super artistic because like that's how they funneled their anxiety or this like creative energy or whatever, but now they're just able to live their extra life all the time. And so instead of being like at 10%, 90% of the time, and at 110%, 10% of the time, they're just always kind of at 30, which is a much more comfortable way to live.
balanced life.
Yeah, but you're not making money as an artist if you're always at 30% instead of like sometimes at 110%. So it's just like, what would you rather have? Would you rather have the comfortable mental space of like living every moment like at a comfortableness, or would you trade for being like squished and cramped and like squeezed 90% of the time so that volcano erupts and you get something out of it 10% of the time?
Yeah.
And so like it's a whole thing. I think it goes like do we let what Noel Gallagher, like do we let Noel Gallagher act like that?
Right.
Because that's what fuels what makes him him. Or do we say, no, thank you, pass. We would like to stay over here where it's comfortable in the 30%. And if that sacrifices that, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. All right.
All right.
Well, I have one more song.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure you've heard this one too.
Okay.
Pretty sure you might enjoy this one.
Okay.
Oh, it is so hard to turn that song off. Well, from the way you're bopping, it looks like you might have heard that one before.
Yeah. I feel like perhaps Tina Turner has a cover of this song.
I feel like you might be right.
Okay.
And
because I'm like, isn't there like a really like doot 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 and like a lot of like
and it's
all
like,
the single ladies dancing?
Oh, it's very much like the red fringy dress, the sequiny fringy dress. Like, and honestly, when I was younger, the Tina Turner version that came out in 1971 was the first version that I had heard. And so
Mhm.
when I heard CCR do it, or Creedence Clearwater Revival, um, I thought they covered that song. And so I had to Google to figure out, like, oh wow, they really did the song first, because it just sounded like a Tina Turner song to me.
Yeah.
Like everything about it, the Proud Mary, just her amazing legs and just dancing, just
Yeah.
like it was incredible. So a little bit about all these things. So this song
Mhm.
is called Proud Mary. This is Creedence Clearwater Revival, or most people call them CCR. This was in 1969, and so the song, I loved Google, and I hope, for whatever it's worth, that it's true. But they were saying that John Fogerty, so he was the singer in the band. Um, his brother played rhythm, Tom Fogerty, but they said, he wrote this basically in the 2 days after he was discharged from the National Guard. And then there's kind of I love the story of the song itself as Proud Mary, because and CCR in general, they just had these themes that resonated with me, and probably just because, my family was more like blue collar family, and a lot of the things, the themes that they talk about are, the decency and the good people that you meet. Like in Proud Mary, he was saying, he really like found himself on the river, and the decency of others, and like later in the verses and stuff, just helping each other out, and just like the down to earth people that you meet, out my back door, down on the corner, those kind of
Mhm.
songs. And then of course Fortunate Son, he's not a fortunate son, so
Right.
he saw a lot of stuff and his experiences, and wrote it in music. And so this whole theme, and then of course like the river, and they have a song called Green River too, but it's kind of, this whole song is about escaping your good job in the city, and then the rebirth of the person singing the song, going down the river and seeing other things. And it's kind of like Mark Twainy, the
Yeah.
riverboat theme and going down the river. So that was really cool, just to kind of read about it after having all of those emotions anyway. Lots of fun stuff about CCR. They're another one of those bands that like sued each other and stuff, and for rights of the songs. And it was just, I don't even feel like getting into it. But the one thing I always wondered was, where did Creedence Clearwater Revival come from?
Yeah.
And they actually like answered that in the old Wikipedia. So I wanted to say it came from three parts. So Tom Fogerty had a friend named Credence Newball, and they just changed the spelling of Creed as in Creed. There was a television commercial for Olympia Brewing Company, which is the Clearwater part. And then the
Okay.
four members just kind of renewing their commitment to their band is where the revival comes from. Because they were named like three different things before they became Creedence Clearwater Revival. So it's a
Yeah.
lot of history there. But they so I chose this song in particular because I have such a fun memory of my dad. As you may have heard in the song, he says like, big wheel keeps on boining, and he
Yeah.
uses the
Boing.
fun, yes,
Yeah.
yes, keep on toining, and he loved to sing it like that, and it cracked him up every time he sang it. And he did this like little dance every time he played. Like my dad was not ashamed to dance, and he was one of those embarrassing dads, and
Mhm.
that I loved, because I'm the embarrassing person also. You
Mhm.
dance it, you just dance it. So I have lots of good memories of him dancing with me to the song and being silly and stupid. Um, so that was good. But some honorable mentions though, like another Creedence song that he really, really liked was Someday Never Comes. And that is again about a dad leaving his kid. And he basically just says, um, you need to be a man now because I'm leaving. And
Mhm.
it's a really, really, really good lyrics. And it was hard. I was like, man, I really want to pick that song, but I would just rather give it an honorable mention because the Proud Mary's a great one.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So, and then also I was kind of thinking People Are Strange from The Doors. That's another one.
Oh, I
And
love that song.
yeah, that's a great song. And then my dad also absolutely loved Rainbow Connection. like the Kermit the Frog version.
I love that
And it's-
song. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
'Cause
the
my
Me First
dad,
and the Gimme Gimmes too. They have a
yeah.
great cover
Well,
of it.
and then I was like, should I do that cover? But you know, my dad was just like really gentle. He had a poet soul, you know,
Yeah.
and you know, growing up, you know, I think he was born in 56, you know, it's I think he got a lot of shit for not being an alpha male and not being like a tough dude. And I
Mhm.
think he had to hide that a lot, you know, and just but he never had to hide it. He had 3 daughters, you know, and he was always himself. But as I grow up and outside looking in, think about the things that a man growing up in his era would have to deal with. I would
Yeah.
think, you know, those would be because he was always, I mean, he was the one that took me to libraries. We were super book nerds, you know, dreaming, reading stories. He read a lot of philosophers, you know, Marcus Aurelius. We're reading the Daily Stoic right now.
Mhm,
A
mhm.
lot of Marcus Aurelius, you know, so it's just kind of when I know Rainbow Connection was like one of his songs, like it connects a lot of dots. he also felt the world through music.
Yeah.
Yep.
No,
So,
I think it's really like interesting. Like one of the things that we talk about all the time is that sometimes you don't have the words, your own words to say how you're feeling. And one of the things, like especially now, like I'm trying to navigate life with this person whose body is changing, moods are changing, everything's changing, and having music to say this is how I'm feeling right now, this is what I want right now, this is how what I don't want right now, having that outside voice, it's so helpful for people. And like you know, your dad was going through stuff where he didn't have the words to talk about what was happening inside of him, and having the music there for him probably really helped him get along with the people around him too, because you can kind of tell by what music's going on which side of your dad you were going to see at that moment based on
yep.
what else was happening.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's it for me. Um, I know my sisters watch this and my mom, so I hope I pick the right songs. What's fun though is like each one of us, he made each one of us feel like we were the special daughter. So I think he did a great job with that.
Yeah.
So they may have different songs with my dad. So these might not be, you know, universally the ones that they would pick, but
Yeah.
you know, anyway. Well, those are
Well,
mine.
I love that theme. My theme is not as good.
I love it.
Well, my theme is kind of a continuation of my theme from last time, which was like these 90s stars kind of hitting on Taylor Swift. Well, you know what, my algorithms just feed like, they're like, you like that, here's more of the same. So there was this article that came through on the news feed about like the 90s boy band revivals who played shopping malls, and all us 40 somethings are like we go to Hot Topic and we get our little Madonna gloves and like we get our big old hoop earrings, and then we just like go scream and shout. But it was actually kind of a sad article, but I'll play the first song and then I'll talk about why it's sad. So let me
Okay.
share my screen.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
I like it when the girls stop by in the summer. Do you remember? Do you remember when we met that summer? New kids on the block had a bunch of hits. Chinese food makes me sick, and I think it's fly when girls stop by for the summer. For the summer, I like girls that wear Abercrombie and Fitch. I take her if I had one wish, but she's been gone since that summer. Since that summer. Hip-hop mama, they spick and span. Met you one summer and it all began. You're the best girl that I ever did see. The great Larry Bird, Jersey 33. When you take a sip, you buzz like a hornet. Billy Shakespeare wrote a whole bunch of sonnets. Call me Willie Whistle cause I can't speak, baby. Something in your eyes went and drove me crazy. Now I can't forget you and it makes me mad. Left one day and never came back. Stayed all summer then went back home. Macaulay Culkin wasn't home alone. Fell deep in love but now we ain't speaking. Michael J. Fox was Alex P. Keaton. When I met you I said my name is Rich. You look like a girl from Abercrombie and Fitch. New kids on.
I had a bunch of hits. Chinese
Oh my
food
God,
makes me
you make
sick.
me sick.
Oh my God.
Oh my
This
gosh.
might-
So
this should go on my one-hit wonder list too.
yeah, no. So this band is called LFO. They are a one-hit wonder boy band. It was in the era of these little pretty boy bands. They're kind of the tail of it. This is 1999, LFO. But I think this song is so funny because this is like I'm 19 and I'm nostalgic for when I was 11.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
like, Macaulay Culkin was Home Alone. Remember that back in the day?
Oh yeah, and Michael J. Fox was Alice P. Keaton. Oh, I about lost it. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
So I mean, I remember this song. I love any kind of nostalgia look back song just in general, but I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so funny. We're so young still. And here we're like, I'm so old, I'm 19. But I like the girls that look like they dress from Abercrombie and Fitch. I'm like, this is so cute. So back to the theme. There's this article about boy bands and like like 90s revivals. There's all these little like 90s tours, and there's like the boy bands tour, and they kind of go to these like middle America malls, and they actually make crazy money because all of us 40 something are like, yes, I would like to feel like I'm 19 and be reminiscent about that. But so this LFO, they're on tour with a couple of other bands like 98 Degrees and I don't even know who's. But it's a super sad thing because like this guy that's singing, Rich, he died in 2010.
Aw.
He was only 35. Then the
Aw.
dark-haired guy, he died in 2018. He was only 41. And then they have another founding member who's not here when they're famous already, but like he was in the band and then he left the band. And he just died in March. So like of the 4 people that have ever been in this band, there's only one guy still alive. And like he was already committed to do this boy band tour. I mean, the friend that just passed away in March, like they had been estranged. Like we weren't really like buddied up anymore. But still it's like
Yeah.
such a bummer. Like he's having this like nostalgia tour with 98
Oh.
Degrees and all these other boy bands, like because in the article they're like, it's kind of like they all went to the same college, but they were in different fraternities. Like they had their own experience, but they also had the same experience. So then when
Oh,
they get
interesting.
together, they talk about, oh, did this ever happen to you? Did this ever happen to you? Oh, when it happened to me, it was like this. So they have this kind of like, they went to college at the same time, same school, but like in different majors or
Oh,
different
that's
fraternities
neat.
type of point of view. And it
Yeah.
was such a huge bummer because he doesn't get to perform with his band anymore because they're all dead. And like
Jeez.
literally like 3 days before he was supposed to do this concert, that was the center of this article, he had just found out that his friend had just died, and his is like trying to perform his like Summer Girls song, and he's just like, oh, gonna lose it. I'm like, oh, I love it so much, but it's so sad and I hate it so much. But yeah,
Jeez.
I'm like, it's like the mortality of we're old enough that people our age died of natural causes. Like, when we're 20,
Oh,
like
yeah.
people were dying of bad decisions, right? Like,
Yep. Bad
it sucked,
decisions.
but like
Yep.
kind of like if you're gonna drink and drive your car straight off a cliff, that's what's gonna happen. Like, or you're gonna
Right.
do heroin 24 hours a day, that's kind of what's gonna happen. But now it's
Yep.
like you died of cancer when you were 35 or 41. I'm like, boy, that could be us.
Oh,
That's like
yeah.
such a bummer.
Yeah, we're in drop dead territory.
We
for
are,
sure.
yeah. Like it
Mhm.
could happen at any time. So yeah, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that's
It's
such
still a
bummer.
shame, but also people understand.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's a shame she was young, but yeah, she's that age. Like
yeah. It's starting to
where
make
we are
sense.
now.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, man.
not a spring chicken anymore.
No.
Okay,
Oh,
so
wow.
my next song is so this is kind of the theme, boy bands of the 90s. My next
see.
song
I like it.
was mentioned in this song. Well, not
Okay.
directly, but it was mentioned in this song. So let's go to it.
We've been together for a long time, baby. Do you have to leave? I just can't live without you. So listen to me. Don't go,
Please don't go, girl. You would ruin my whole world. Tell me you'll stay.
girl. Where's my hairbrush? Where's my hairbrush?
I'm like, I feel like I already played a New Kids on the Block song, but I'm like, whatever, repeat.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know,
honestly.
but
Oh, but wait,
look
I
how
don't think
young
we
Donnie
did.
Wahlberg is.
Look how young Joe McIntyre was. Look how
I
young they
know.
all were. Look, hold on. You didn't play a New Kids song because I would have done this.
Okay.
Okay? Look at this. Look at this guy right here.
Oh my
This
gosh.
was me and my older sister all the way. And she is a huge New Kids on the Block fan to this day. She sees them anytime they're in town, like VIP. She has pictures with Danny Wood from, I don't even know, before COVID, maybe, I don't know. The last time they
Yeah.
toured, she,
Yeah.
she met him and stuff. So yes, we are New Kids on the Block fans.
Yeah.
We are New
yeah.
Kids on the Block fam. Yeah.
Yeah. So Joey is 15. I feel like he looks like he's 11. I'm like,
I was gonna say, wasn't he like 11? Maybe he was
he's
a late
15.
bloomer. He's a late bloomer.
But but like Donnie Wahlberg looks the same, just 30 years younger. It's so funny. I'm like, oh my gosh, you really already looked like Donnie Wahlberg.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah. This was their first hit.
Yep.
This was their first single off of their first major album, which their first album was Hangin' Tough, and this was their first single off of that album. And they were produced by Maurice Starr at this time, who was also producing New Edition. Maybe that's what we talked about, because I know I did New Edition.
Oh yeah, we talked about like I'm gonna say it wrong again. Lou Pearlman. I was gonna say Ron Pearlman again. Yeah, we were talking about like bad boy band managers and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, like, so LFO is like, New Kids on the Block had a bunch of hits. And I'm like, New Kids on the Block did in fact have a bunch of hits. Here's
They
the
sure
first
did.
one.
Oh my god.
But I love them.
So
So
good.
this is 1988. So I was in like 5th grade, 6th grade, sometime around there. And we used to choreograph little routines on the basketball court at recess.
Yes, I was gonna say, because like Hanging Tough, and like we would do all the step-by-step dances and the
Yeah.
Hanging Tough dances. Oh my gosh, that's all we did was choreograph New Kids on the Block dances.
Yeah.
Or on the
Oh my gosh.
tetherball court.
Oh yeah. Well, our
Remember
tetherball
tetherball?
court,
Do they even do that anymore? Because won't
Well-
like kids hurt themselves?
they still have tetherball. Well, I mean, at my daughter's school, they still have tetherball, but I don't know if that's like universal at all schools. But yeah,
Mhm.
they still smash each other in the face with a tetherball. I've gotten several calls, be like,
Yes.
it's not an emergency, but Halo might have a black eye from playing tetherball.
Oh, I love it. You can't do the double
Yeah.
stop. What are you doing?
Yeah.
I used to get in so many fights on the tetherball court because of the rules. Oh my god. Anyway.
Oh my gosh. So my next 3 videos are
Three
all
videos.
kind of
Okay.
3 videos for one thing.
Okay.
But I thought about, there was a 4th video, but then I'm like, no, I should tame it. I should reduce it to just 3 videos. So I'm just gonna play the first 2 back to back, and then we can
Okay.
talk. So that's what's
Okay.
gonna happen. All
I
right.
love it.
The questions in your eyes, I know what's weighing on your mind. You can be sure I know my part, 'cause I stand beside you through the years. You'll only cry those happy tears. And though I make mistakes, I'll never break your heart. And I swear by the moon and the stars and the skies, I'll be there. I swear, like the shadow that's by your side, I'll be there. For better or worse, till death do us part. I'll love you with every
Okay, so that's part one, and here's part two.
By the moon and the stars in the sky, I'll be there. I swear, like a shadow that's by your side, I'll be there. For better or worse, till death do us part, I'll love you with every beat of my heart, I swear.
Okay, so
Dude, I totally forgot about John Michael Montgomery. When do you have the years of when these came
Mhm.
out? Oh my gosh.
John
tell
Michael
me.
Montgomery was the original, and it was in 1993, and
Okay.
then All for One covered it in 1994, and you know, neither one of them wrote the song. It was written by a country songwriting office. I can't remember the name, but there was two guys whose job was to write country songs. So they just wrote
Yep.
country song. They just wrote songs, and then they sold songs. And sometimes they sold them to R&B groups too, because country and R&B are, there's a lot of overlap. We've talked about that,
Yep.
with all that stuff. So, All for One was like trying to be a band, and they were trying to fill up their album, and they needed a few more songs, and they could get this song at the right price, and so they're like, yeah, we'll cover I Swear. And it was already a big country hit for John Michael Montgomery, and then it became a huge R&B hit for All for One. And then they're like, we love you, you're a great little boy group, R&B, why are you singing country? And it was kind of like, oh, we just really like this song, we like the message, blah blah blah. And country songs in that time were really good to translate to R&B because they were very melodic and very smooth, and like it was very easy to like do it. So if you forgot about John Michael Montgomery, you probably forgot this fun fact, is that they didn't just both do I Swear, they also did another song. Coincidentally, they both pulled this out of the same song catalog called I Can Love You Like That. So this is the third video.
Okay.
Yeah, let me show you this third video, because
Okay.
I was like, I had a lot of like, oh, what should I show? But let me just show this, and then we can talk some more.
Okay.
Including I Can Love You Like That. Let's talk about that for a quick second. The look on the faces. Do you remember at the Grammys?
You probably don't remember.
You probably
I don't
remember
know.
this. For the whole year after I Swear, we were all like, everyone kept asking us, why are you guys singing country songs? We're like, oh, da da da. So our second album was coming out, and that summer, we recorded I Can Love You Like That. We were so excited. We got the demo and everything.
But not only that, when we got the demo, we were in like Thailand or something.
Yeah, like
remember?
Malaysia that
And
summer before.
I remember we were waiting for our plane, and our manager had one set of headphones, so he just passed it around, and we all listened to the song, and everybody, he said, what do you think of the song? We're like, let's do it.
That's
It's
our next
amazing.
hit. We're like, no more sophomore slump. This has got to be a hit. This is great. It had an R&B vocal on it. Didn't have a country vocal on it or anything
And
like
Chris,
that.
what's his name? Yeah.
So fast forward, we're feeling more relaxed for the rest of the year, and we get to the Grammys.
But I thought we were recording right before we went to the Grammys.
No,
We
we
done
recorded that
that
way
now.
before.
Oh, that's
It was
right,
in the
that's
can done. And so we get to the Grammys, and we're talking to you on the stage, and we're like, yeah, we're having a great time. Everyone's asking about the country songs. He's like, well, can't wait for our next record. He's like, yeah, mine's coming out too. And then you said, yeah, my next song, I Can Love You Like That. And all of us were like, we're like, ah.
And you said,
What we said, we was like, how does yours go? How does it go?
You were like, I can love you like that.
And we were just looking, and then we looked in the
I can
audience, and our
make
manager was
my
like, I
words.
just found out.
Yeah.
I just found out.
Isn't that so hilarious?
Oh my gosh. Business
So-
guys dipping into the same pool of music.
Yeah. So yeah, All for One, they are from Antelope Valley, California, which is actually where I'm from.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah, Antelope Valley is like this super rural, middle of nowhere area east of Los Angeles. It's like not even a suburb of Los Angeles, like hill people, farms, rocks, sand. And nothing comes from Antelope Valley, California, except for All for One. And yeah, so like they became this like nice boy, R&B crooners, and John Michael Montgomery. They both, I think, were Grammy nominated for I Swear. We'll check corrections and omissions and updates on that. But I believe that that's why they were performing together at the Grammys. I think they were both nominated, like for country hit and for R&B. And so they actually recorded a duet together. And then they've re-recorded several times because it's just such a hit. And, they're like, if people want to see it again, we'll do it again. And this little session is actually from them recording a re-release of the I Swear duet, and it's super cute, and you should definitely look at it up because it's like them being 50
And
being
singing,
50 and just
yeah.
like singing, and I love it. I love it when our rock stars and our little R&B favorites get old, and now they're old, and we still have all their personality. And I love John Michael Montgomery, and like I love a country crooner, so I was like, oh, I really liked the All for One version of I Can Love You Like That, but I think the John Michael Montgomery version of I Swear is better. So like I could kind of go both ways with these guys. So isn't that so crazy? They're like, we're gonna get a second hit. It has nothing to do with country. Oh, this guy.
Whoops. Oh my gosh. Well, I want to go back to listening to the All for One I Swear, because I was immediately transported back to my middle school gym at the dance where they slow it down and it's time to do the slow dance. I'm sure it was 6th or 7th grade when this came out, the 92, 93. I don't know which one, but I just imagined being at the Valentine's Day dance, this song. And then I also wanted to be a cynical 40-year-old woman and go, this is why women my age are ruined about their impressions of what they think they're going to get from a guy, because we grew up on all of these like, I'm going to love you like that, I'm going to marry you, I swear. And like we expected all these little 14-year-old boys to act like this, first of all. And then, and we were just so heartbroken when they weren't like professing their dying devotion to us, right? And then, you start looking for this like uber romantic dude that's going to say this stuff to you all the time. No, that's not real life.
Yeah.
It's stuff like this and rom-coms that like set your expectations for what you think romance and love are, being a 40-year-old looking back. But I still get all the little tweeny, like I love the song, I love that emotion, and it's just like that was a great pick. And now I'm super excited. I don't think I have an All for One vinyl, but immediately after this podcast recording, I will be listening to my New Kids on the Block vinyl for sure.
Oh yeah. Well, New Kids on the Block headlines a lot of those 90s revivals.
Oh, absolutely.
And then All for One tours with them all the time.
It's like a different rotation too. Like New Kids on the Block, they can do the boy band one, they can just do like the 80s revival one, because I think they've done one before, 80s or 90s, but they've done one with like Color Me Bad and Salt and Pepper and Vanilla Ice. Like New Kids on the Block can kind of do several different genre nostalgic tours, where I don't know if All for One would get to do anything but the boy band, to be honest.
Well, they do. So going back though, I believe the shopping mall boy band screaming middle-aged women tour, I believe LFO and All for One are both on that tour. So
that's awesome.
If you want to scream and shout like you were 15, maybe like check the local shopping mall, because coming to a food court near you. But honestly, I remember when I was 13, local boy bands, like obviously these are the ones who make it big, All for One and Boys to Men, like they made it big. But it was a thing that there were just like a stage in the middle of the mall next to the food court, between the food court and the carousel, and they would have fashion modeling and they would have boy bands, and then they would have tap dancing. and all of the little talented kids who wanted to be stars. And part of it is probably because I lived in Southern California, so we had a lot of
Oh,
those like, don't you want to be a star schools, or like you could go and like learn how to be whatever this is. But
yeah.
there were boy bands performing at the mall all the time, girl bands too. But I was, a 13-year-old girl interested in boys, so like I went to go see the boy band.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, that is awesome. That was a
Oh,
great list. That was a
yeah.
great list.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not as good as like these are the
Well,
songs that might remind me of my
sentimental
dad,
stuff.
but
Yeah, but
yeah.
still.
Okay. Well, hopefully we saved enough time for all the great new vinyl that you have, because it was record store day and
Yes,
I'm sure
yes.
you have a haul.
I do. I do have a haul. So real quick, I've said it before, record store day. We even talked about when it started and stuff, you know. Oh, we probably talked about it because they have it in April and then they also have it in November. So if you missed it in the April releases, so I knew this year was going to be big because Taylor Swift was the ambassador. Okay.
Hmm.
And so it was great to see. I love Spoonful Records here in Columbus. Brett and Amy are super cool. And I am just a customer. I do not work there, but they ask me to help on record store days. I do like line control. They have a really awesome system there. If you get in line, they have ordered lists and you check them off and they fill them and then they run people in and out as an efficiency expert there, sister. You would love to watch this. It's a thing of beauty. So this year, the store opened at 8. First person got in line at 6:45 p.m. the day before. I got there around 4:30. I was number 31 in line.
Hmm.
And then by the time 8 o'clock rolled around, there were 200 people in line. And it was great to see because Taylor was the ambassador. Of course, she had an exclusive release and tons of younger girls, people that have never been to a record store that are just now getting into records because of her. So it was really fun to see like the different releases. And so like Stevie Nicks was a big one too. And
Hmm.
she's touring this year. I'm going to go see Billy Joel and Stevie Nicks in August. And it was really funny because that one sold out pretty fast. And the older people in line were like, I wonder why. And there was a younger girl beside him. And she said, well, she did some work with Harry Styles. And Harry
Hmm.
Styles fans, whoever he works with, they just immediately go and buy the music. So
Yeah.
so I think there were some Harry Styles / Stevie Nicks fans that were buying all the stuff. Anyway,
Yeah.
I wanted to show you my haul. It's not like your typical stuff, but I I have a couple. I don't even know which order, but here is the Taylor Swift record. This is Folklore, the Long Pond Studio Sessions. And then I thought you would enjoy this one because we talked about this on the pod. So they're starting to
Oh
release
yeah.
like 90s stuff. So I've got Poe now on vinyl. And then another one that we talked about on the pod, you gave this song, has the Freshmen on it. Let's see. Then of course, I'll just keep going. Pearl Jam, Give Way. So Pearl Jam love. This is always my favorite. They have, I don't know if I've talked about Rockabye Baby on this pod or not, but it's cover songs. So it's xylophone covers of rock bands. And so, it's baby friendly and they could be like
Hmm.
lullabies, but they're listening to AC/DC. So this year was lullaby renditions of Queen.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I
Okay.
got that.
I
Yeah,
hope
you
they
need
have
to
that on
look up
streaming.
Rockabye Baby, and especially
Yeah.
for your little neurospicy brain and the xylophone music. Oh, it is lovely and just get you in the
Yeah.
zone. This is one I honestly don't know much about Frau Frau. I just know they were on the Garden State soundtrack. I think it's Chicks. I have no idea. But I listened to it like on YouTube to see if I would like the songs, and I do. I love Frau Frau, so I was able to get that. This is the Addicts, the punk band that I love and I talk about a lot. They've been around since the 70s, I believe, but this is just like a vinyl, older album. This is Frank Turner. He's like British pop punky, a little harder than pop, but it's
Hmm.
hard to call him punk. Great lyricist. He's one of my new
Hmm.
favorites. This is like a reissue of Tape Deck Heart. He's got some great songs. I have never heard of Rich Kids before, but this is what I love about Record Store Day. I find weird album covers, I find weird bands, and I think this is older punk also. And I was like, listen to it on YouTube, I'm in. So I got that. Also into the video game soundtracks. So this is Dead by Daylight. It's a zombie game. This is volume 3. So I've gotten all the Record Store Days, volume 1, 2, 3. And that was it. My biggest disappointment this year, and like one of the super hot items that people are flipping for like $300 now, is Macho Man Randy Savage album. It's like his old raps and songs like
But you know that's so
Kentucky.
bad. It's so bad.
It's so bad it's good.
Okay.
So bad it's good. And
Yeah.
so they only had, I mean, they only made 1,000 for all the record stores. I think it was
Yeah.
United States only. So like this record store only had one copy. I didn't know
Yeah.
that. I didn't pay attention to how limited it was. So I think the third dude in line got it. So I think it
Yeah.
was a overnight stayer kind of guy. But anyway, so that's my haul. I haven't opened them yet to play them, but I will be doing that shortly. You know, so but it's always good time, good fun. Everybody's really nice, and you know, you usually get there at the same time and talk to the same people. So there's this really nice guy named Dan, and I remember his name's Dan because he's into Duran Duran Dan. And you know, we just sit and chat for like 3 hours, and there's people in line. You talk about concerts that you go to, you talk about your music collection and your holy grails of vinyl, and
Mhm.
just nerd out on music all morning. It's
So
lovely.
do a lot of these record store day stand in line people also hang out with you at the comic book store day? Or is it a different
don't
two
see-
different fandoms?
I think it's two different fandoms. I don't see crossover people anyway. I mean, it's not like Columbus is huge. I think we
Yeah.
would probably see the same people around, but no, I think it's different fandom. And the music touches so many people. Excuse my big Maine Coon here. It depends on what kind of collector you are, and
Yeah.
also the releases. I mean, there's hundreds of releases. So there could be somebody there that just likes Taylor Swift, and especially in the back of the line, I got to see, you know, the lines or the requests because I was picking up the list. You know, it was just one Taylor Swift. Let's go get it. You know,
Yeah.
so it's fascinating because it's the different kinds of music lovers. Is it just a vinyl collector looking for a limited edition? You know, is it Dan? The only reason he started collecting vinyl was because of a Duran Duran release on Record Store Day in 2016. It's the only reason he started collecting vinyl. You know, so it's very interesting. There's lots of like cool jazz releases and things that have never been on vinyl before, or newly found mastered instrumental mixes of things. Like that's obviously not my bag. I know nothing about it, but
Yeah.
soundtracks, you know, rockers, there's not, you know, there really aren't that many R&B. There's some like Old Dirty Bastard had a release that I almost got. I had a lot of maybes. Like this was
Yeah.
cutting it down to what I needed.
Well, I mean, because
So.
Wu-Tang Clan is on tour right now. So like, you know, because ODB, like he has all these kids that need like his royalties to, you know, pay. So they
That's
probably like, yeah, let's throw the old man and his progeny a little bone, take care of the family. But yeah,
Yep.
like I pass a billboard every day on my way to like do anything. It's like 1 foot away from my house is this billboard. It's like summer festival headlined by Wu-Tang Clan. I'm like, is this just subliminally telling me that I need to go see Wu-Tang Clan?
They are nothing to F with. Just so
Yeah,
you know.
they are, and they're apparently still very high energy despite being well over 50 years old.
Oh my gosh.
So, you
That's
know, I'm
great.
like, do I want to feel shamed at my energy level and go see the Wu-Tang Clan? All right, well, I'm gonna stop recording now.
Okay.
I'll talk to you
It
later.
was great talking music with you.
Yeah.